The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon. This is Kim Cantor at RoadMap Consulting. I'm a contracts manager here. I'd like to thank you for joining the webinar this afternoon. We're going to talk a little bit about getting 8A certified and the steps you would need to take to do that, and any sort of bumps in the road that you may encounter, and perhaps why you would like to have a consultant do it for you. We're going to do a little brief overview of the U.S. Small Business Administration. It was formed in 1953 by the Small Business Act, and their activities are summarized as the 3 C's: capital, contracts, and counseling. Basically, I'm sure most of you have heard of small business loans, so that would fall under capital. Contracts is where the 8A program falls into, assisting you in obtaining contracts through various designations, and counseling, where you can call and they can assist you with your small business needs. The Small Business Administration helps lead the U.S. government's efforts to deliver 23% of prime federal contracts to small businesses like yours, and that's what we're going to talk about today, is how you can obtain those federal contracts. We're going to go through some of the requirements of the 8A program, and we'll have an opportunity at the end to answer any questions that you have. And we'll also give you our contact information in case you have you want to talk a little more in depth about this designation. The 8A program is an essential instrument for helping socially and economically disadvantaged businesses gain a foothold on government contracting, and we're going to go in a little later to what those two terms mean, socially and economically disadvantaged. They offer a broad scope of assistance to firms that are owned and controlled at least 51% by socially and economically disadvantaged individuals. And the program is divided into 2 phases, which is the 4-year developmental, that's your first 4 years of the program, and your last 5 years, which is the transition leading up to your graduation after 9 years in the program. Some of the benefits of the 8A program are the participants can receive sole source contracts up to a ceiling of $4 million for goods and services and $6.5 million for manufacturing. You're also able to form joint ventures and teams to bid on contracts, thereby enhancing the firm's ability to perform larger prime contracts, and you're eligible for the mentor-protege program, which we're going to talk about a little later as well. Now, this kind of goes into a little bit about what the actual requirements are for the 8A program. These can be somewhat nebulous, so if you have any additional questions after this, we can talk offline about it. But for the most part, the first, obviously, is African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Pacific Americans, Native Americans, to include American Indians, Eskimos, Aleuts, or Native Hawaiians, and subcontinent Asian Americans are presumed socially disadvantaged. And what that means is that the SBA has designated you as one of the groups that you do not have to prove that you are socially disadvantaged. You are automatically assumed that you are. Other groups, such as Arab Americans, they would fall under what would be called they would be required to do a social narrative, which is a much more intensive document that requires a vast amount of information to be given to the SBA, requiring specific instances of discrimination. As one of those presumed socially disadvantaged groups, you would only be required to write what was called the economic narrative, the disadvantaged narrative, and that's about a 2 to 3 page document, and we would help you with that as well. There's a questionnaire that you would fill out, and that would be submitted to the SBA. The business must be considered small according to size standards for small business concerns. That is usually your NAICS code, what NAICS code you fall under. The business must demonstrate a potential for success. Now, what that means is that according to the SBA, if your business has been in operation more than 2 years, you automatically meet this requirement and generating positive revenues. If you have been in business less than 2 years, not a worry, you can still do what's called the 2-year waiver, which you have to prove to the SBA that your business has potential for success. And we have successfully done that. You should be generating positive revenues. Now, positive revenues can be $5,000, $10,000, $20,000. It doesn't have to be upwards of $100,000 or above. But we can talk a little bit more about that if you have questions. And then you must be unconditionally owned and controlled by one or more disadvantaged business owner with a net worth under $250,000. And that excludes the value of your primary residence, 401k, and investment in your business. And what we would do is the SBA requires you fill out a financial form where you lay out all of your finances, and they exclude your primary residence, the value of your primary residence, your 401k, and any investment that you've had in the business. This goes through the application process and how RMC would do an 8A application. The first thing we would want to do is to qualify you. We go through a list of questions that kind of give us an overview of the nature of your business and the history, and also you as an individual, because the SBA also takes into account certain things in your background. You cannot have owned or even been related to somebody that owned an 8A company. If you have owned other businesses in the past, those will be reviewed by the SBA to make sure that they're not going to benefit from the SBA 8A, from your business, your current business being admitted into the 8A program. So all of those factors can be mitigated, but we would need to know them up front. So that's kind of what we would do at that specific point in the process. Once you come on board and sign a contract with us, we go through what's called the client kickoff meeting, where we would issue a request for information to you, and we would take all the information that you, we would tell you all the information that we would need in order to submit the application. And then you would go through a document upload. We have a secure FTP server where you would submit all of that information onto. Now, the difference between what we do and what some other firms may do is that we go through, as you submit your documents, we go through and forensically review your documents to kind of look and see if any of them are going to have if any of your documents are going to be questioned by the SBA. We look at your financial statements to see if there's anything that the SBA is going to ask questions about. You are going to receive your package back. The SBA always asks questions. They come back with specific questions relating to everything that you've sent in. And based on our experience, we can kind of pinpoint what those issues are going to be. So we try and mitigate them up front and kind of guide you through circumventing those issues. And that goes into the package assembly by RoadMap. Within 1 week of receiving all of your documents, we actually go through and review everything. We communicate back and forth with you about anything that we see that there may be issues with. And we talk about how to mitigate those with the SBA. We go through. Mike Perch is our owner. He's owned an 8A company. He's had over 20 years of experience. He's a score counselor. He will review your package and submit that to, and then we will submit it to the SBA. The SBA, we will hear back from them within 30 days with specific questions about your package, and that's going to that will start another back and forth between us and you about how to address the questions that have come back with the SBA. At that point, once the SBA has a completed package, you'll be notified by email, and you're in the 90-day approval window and should have your approval within 90 days of the completed package. Some of our clients have given us some benefits that they see for using RoadMap as a consultant. RoadMap Consulting helped me establish a fixed timeline for application submission. The 8A process can be very long and tedious, and what we try and do for you is to establish a timeline and kind of help you in getting the documents. If we can obtain documents for you, we will help as much as we can. We'll tell you where to get documents that you may need, and so that's kind of one of the benefits. RMC provided a clear structure and format for my 8A application. The structure exceeds the standards set by the SBA and is focused on meeting each of the program requirements. What that speaks to is that if you go on and you look at what it takes to do the 8A application, you're going to see a checklist on their website. And the mistake a lot of businesses make is they just simply put those documents together and they send it out to the SBA. Those documents need to be looked at and to see, we match your taxes to your financials. We look at your business taxes to make sure everything is being reported correctly based on the ownership of the business. We've caught a lot of things that have had to go back and be amended. We've worked with accountants. We work with your accountant if we need to. So that when we submit the package, it is what exactly the SBA is looking for. The 8A response was customized to my business. RMC's qualification process forced me to address areas of my business that I may have been hesitant to disclose to the SBA if the consultant was not involved. And we've had several instances where someone has come to us because they don't think they would be eligible based on owning another business in the past, or some other things that they have been involved in. And what we try and do is we kind of lay everything out and we move forward. We've had instances where the SBA has been concerned about an issue, so we have a very good relationship with the SBA. We talk back and forth about how the business can either amend an operating agreement or if they need to change an ownership structure in order to receive 8A approval. So we've been very successful with that as well. Fixed pricing was great for budgeting purposes. We give you a fixed price as to what it's going to take to get you through to approval. Other firms may give you a fixed price, but then when the package comes back, you may receive something else saying, well, you know, in order for us to respond, it's going to cost X amount. In our agreement for services, it's very clearly laid out that this is the price, and this goes through to the approval process. We stick with you until you are approved, and Roadmap Consulting does have a 100% approval rate. We have never been denied. Roadmap is a small responsive company that cares about my company and is willing to put in an extra shift if required. All of my clients I'm very close with. I work very closely with. We have another contracts manager on staff that also works very closely with his clients. We get to know everybody, and we know your company kind of in and out. We know if something needs to be done, we're here late, and we work with the SBA's timelines to get everything back on time. We're here for you through approval again, like I had mentioned. Some other services that Roadmap offers outside of the 8A is strategic business development consulting, targeted marketing services, capture management. We are very successful with GSA schedule development and coordination. We do GSA schedule administration. We also do GSA schedule rescues. If you're on schedule and you've received that dreaded letter from the GSA saying that you haven't met your sales requirements, we actually have rescued schedules where people thought they didn't have the sales, but we go back and look at what they've been doing, and they do in fact have their sales. We assist with contract modifications. We do hub zone applications, RFP and proposal support, and if you're having issues with the SAM migration, we can assist with that as well. So at this point, I'm going to open it to questions. You can type a question in that little box down there. If anybody has any questions, I can answer them now. And at this point, I'm also going to introduce Mike Perch. He's the owner of Roadmap Consulting, and he's going to speak a little bit about the Roadmap Advantage.
Hello, hi, my name is Mike Perch, and just wanted to add a few comments to what Kim has already done a masterful job of covering as far as our service offering to small businesses that are trying to get into the 8A program. Just to tell you a little bit more about what clients have said to us and what we understand to be our advantage in terms of helping companies that are looking to do business with the federal government, and of course one of those strategic steps that companies are taking is to get into the 8A program. One of the advantages we offer is that I'd probably say that 90, if not 100% of all of our 8A clients over the last 4 years have gone on to expand their service with us. In other words, we've helped them with their GSA schedule. We've helped them with their HubZone application. We develop a full-blown relationship that extends well beyond just the 8A application. And that's because we get to know them, they get to know us, we understand what their strengths, weaknesses are, and we can oftentimes advise them on where they may want to look toward opportunities within the federal government based upon their own individual characteristics. So real strong in terms of being able to grow the relationship. We also have taken on a new service called our strategic business planning, where we go in and do a full assessment of your company, and then we set up some milestones in terms of growing your company's business within the federal government sector by doing strategic marketing and business development and that sort of thing. So just to add on to what Kim said, we do a good job of getting into the 8A program, but our service doesn't stop there. We can grow with you as you grow. Our largest client is about a $20 million client. Actually, I take that back. It's actually George Mason University. We're doing their GSA schedule for them. But then we also have companies that are just getting started and looking for help from us as far as how they can start to compete with the other large companies out there. So just wanted to add that on. At this time, I think we're seeing that we do have some questions, and I'll turn it back over to Kim so that she might just respond to those questions. And again, if there's anything we can be of assistance with, please give us a call or send us an email.
Is there a credit score range you must have? The SBA does go through a background investigation. I'm not too sure that would hinder the application process at all.
Yeah, the SBA does look at that as a factor, but it's not a real strong factor in terms of the ultimate approval of your application. So if your credit score isn't exactly where it should be, I would not be concerned about that, as long as all the other major items that they do take a very serious look at is in line. I think that would not be an issue at all.
Time spent as a 1099, would that count towards the 2-year requirement?
Well, that depends. If your 1099 does state that your work was corp to corp, in other words, some prime contractor awarded you a subcontract and you're billing as a 1099 within your own company, yeah, that could count. I think the ultimate thing we'd have to do there is kind of take a look at the dynamics of how that relationship was formed with the company that awarded you the contract, and we could probably, even if it was not done the correct way, we could probably be able to work with you in terms of setting it up so that the SBA would consider those 2 years as counting toward your 2 years in business.
Are there any other questions that we could address today?
And again, just to I think that question came from Dennis. If you'd like to contact us, and also the other question was from Marcus. If you'd like to talk to us about your individual situation, we'd be more than happy to talk to you and see if there's a way we can get beyond any concerns you might have, and address those concerns to make sure that you are eligible for the program itself. Just move on to the next slide.
Okay. All right, so if you do want to contact us, please feel free to give one of either Mike or Nathan a call or shoot them an email, or you can give me a call as well. My name is Kim Cantor, and I am also, just call the main number, 703-286-5426, and I'd be happy to speak with you about the 8A program. And we do offer a free 1-hour consultation. We can either do that, if you're local, we'd love to meet you so you can come on in. Or if you are one of the many clients we have across the country and are somewhere outside of the DC area, then we can set up another go-to meeting just like this. So with that, I'm going to check one more time to see if we have any more questions. And Okay. Looks like that's all the questions we have for today. Hope to hear from you, and thanks for joining our webinar.
Thank you. Have a great day.